All right, I want us to look at a couple of more of examples of solving for a specific variable. We're talking about literal equations. This is where we've got more than one variable in the equation. And sometimes when we're looking to solve literal equations, we'll have the same variable that's on both sides of the equation, along with other variables. And so when this happens, we've got to get all the terms with the same variable together. We've got to get it on one side of the equation in order to solve for a specific variable. And oftentimes it's helpful to use our distributive property, kind of like what we saw in the previous slide, to isolate the variable for which we're solving. So let's see, we've got an equation here. We've got D plus 5C equals 3D minus 1, and we're being asked to solve for D. Okay, so I've actually got three terms in this equation. I've got a D here, but I also have 3D here. That's one term. These are all the same term. D and 3D are the same term. We're going to have to combine like terms. And I've got 5C here. That would be my second term. And I've got a minus 1 here, which is my third term. So I need to get my D's, a variable with a D in it, all on one side. And so I'm going to subtract 3D from both sides. Get my D over here on my left-hand side of the equation. No specific reason I could do it the other way. But that's going to give me, when I subtract 3D from D, that's going to give me minus 2D plus 5C equals minus 1. Now I can subtract this 5C from both sides of the equation, and when I do, I'm going to be I got 2D minus 2D equals minus 5C minus 1. And now I can divide to completely isolate my variable D. I can divide both sides of the equation by minus 2. And once I do, I'm going to end up here with D dividing by minus 2. Well, I'm dividing minus 5C minus 1 by minus 2. And so that's going to allow me to change the signs up here at the top. Negative into a negative is a positive. So I got 5C plus 1 over 2. And there we go. We have solved for D. D equals 5C plus 1 over 2. Now, let's continue on. Let's look at one more. And here, and by the way, again, I'm on page 127. I'm looking at the guided practice in example 2. That first one was 2A. Now we're going to look at 2B. And so we've got 6Q minus 18 equals QR plus T. Okay. All right, so I've got a Q in this expression, and I've got a Q in this expression, although they're not like terms yet, but I do have a Q in both sides. And then I've got this term here, this minus 18, and I've got a T. And we're now being asked to solve. We want to solve for Q. Okay, so this presents a little bit of a dilemma. Well, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract this QR from both sides, and at the same time I'm going to add 18 to both sides. And so once I do that, I'm going to have 6Q minus QR equals T plus 18. All right, now, So I've got a 6Q minus QR over here on the left-hand side. And using distributive property, I could actually factor out the Q here on both of these expressions. And that would give me Q times 6 minus R in parentheses equals T plus 18. All right, so now I can get this Q by itself by dividing this expression 6 minus R. And let's go back. If I were to distribute, so okay, Q times 6 is 6Q, Q times minus R is Q minus QR. So this is a valid way of using the distributive property of to factor out the Q. And now I want to divide both sides of this equation by this entire expression here, Q minus R. And so once I do so, we'll put this up here, then I'm going to have Q equals T plus 18 over 6 minus R. There we go. A little bit more complicated. You're going to have to use your thinking cap. But here we go. We have solved this for Q. Now, we're going to take a look here at the next slide right this moment. Okay, so what I want to do is I'm going to post a problem here for you to solve. And depending on how you're watching this, if you're watching this in class, I want you to solve it right away. If you're watching this as part of a homework assignment, then I want you to post online, depending on how the method is that it's given to you. Post online what your answer is or how you're solving this particular equation. And here it is. We got 7H plus F equals 2H plus G. And I want you to solve this for G. All right, so take a moment, write this down, and solve for G. Okay, so hopefully you've got this thing written down. I'm looking forward to seeing your answer as you solve 7H plus F equals 2H plus G, where you're solving for G.